All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ninja Chris, and I'm about to do another Ninja Chris cast. Thank you for waiting. I'm glad you are with me today. Today's going to be a little bit different. Obviously, if you're here, you're probably somebody I already know, but the difference mainly is that I'm going to be switching off into streaming a game instead of simply running this as a YouTube video that I've edited later. So this is going to be very cool. Nonetheless, I've got the game loading right now, and very shortly I'm going to switch over to the game. I will say ahead of time, I am a little sorry, I'm very sorry, unfortunately, for one of the player names in this game. The game, I heard, is a great game and a fun one, a good one to cast. Nonetheless, one of the player names is not so ideal, so unfortunately there's not a lot I can do about that. I did try switching the name, but unfortunately I can't edit the file. I can't manually change that. So we're just going to have to deal with what we have. And so yeah, nonetheless, I highly request as much feedback as you can give me. And I would love to find out everything that you think I should work on or not work on. What did you like? What did you not like? Please let me know, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun. So just about to get started on this game. There we go. Free camera, and let's switch directly into the game. If this will cooperate with me. There we go. Alright, so this is obviously a little bit of a test. I'm checking to see what kind of video quality you all are going to be getting, as well as I want to see how high of a quality I can produce with what I'm sending out. So I need this to be high quality on my end so I can give you the best casting experience possible, as well as I want this to look good on your screen. So hopefully this does look good. I've got a secondary monitor next to me, checking everything out, making sure everything looks fine. So I'm excited, as I usually am. I've noticed I say that a lot, but casting is a ton of fun, and I hope you're having fun. So everybody's been picked for an all-random game, and we're going to go ahead and kick into the game. We have Preachaholic on the Terrorblade. We have Carl on the Drow Ranger. We have Swag Eric on the Medusa. We have a JJ on the Weaver. And on the Troll Warlord, we have Darble. Over here, we have a Fun Size on the Templar Assassin. We have Tech Forever on the Brewmaster. We have Panda Commanda on the Undying. We have Somebody on Razor. And we have Dunga 182 on the Dragon Knight. So let's get into the game. Being this an all-random game, we are going to have a little bit of an interesting setup when it comes to the courier, when it comes to who's playing support on each team. So, as I usually like to check out, we do in fact have a courier on the Radiant side. Let's get rid of this right now. We do have courier on the Radiant, and we do have a courier on the Dire, so things are already looking up. I would guess that be the support for the Dire team. And not entirely sure who's going to be running faux support on the Radiant. Actually, it looks like Swag with the Medusa. So, not a bad startup. Glad to see players picking up that responsibility. We got a dual lane in the bottom lane, here in the easy lane for the Radiant. Nice little setup for both sides. Fortunately, we do have a ranged on each side. You know how these all randoms happen to be once in a while. Sometimes it gets very one-sided. And we're going to switch right up into the top lane where, okay, I thought for a minute we actually had a little bit of initiation on top of the Weaver. Especially since he seems to be solo lane against two melee heroes. That's going to be a little, I don't know. I think this is definitely going to be good for the Weaver, especially with all the escape he has. So I'm happy to see that. We do have a Medusa, and he's going to be farming up the ancient camps right from the very beginning. So that's going to be a lot of fun to see some very late game potential here on the Radiant side. Up against a Templar Assassin here in the middle lane, we have a Drow who's even going to be denying that the haste rune. So I like the level of communication we already have going on. We have a 2-1-2 on the 2-1-2 on the Dire side. We have a 1-1-1-2 on the Radiant. So I'm already vastly favoring the Radiant's late game. I love the potential that they've got. Nonetheless, the Brewmaster and the TA are going to be very difficult to deal with. And all the damage that the Razor's going to steal is going to be a lot of fun to check out. He's already going try-hard, pushing it back, fighting against the Radiant side. So Terrorblade taking a lot of damage from both the Dragon Knight as well as the Razor before he decides to take a couple steps back. And yeah, so ultimately we just have a bunch of resting and relaxing. Dire even pulling the lane back. And just waiting to see how everything goes. Kind of waiting for that first blood attempt, but that's going to be a little while, especially since both teams have a lot of evasion, a lot of escape mechanisms. So we even have an Undying beginning to farm up a little bit. Definitely think they're going to need a bit of farm, especially with all the... They have so much creep control, I guess is the best way to call it here on the Radiant side. 4 people specifically going to be working on all sorts of creeps, and especially with this Medusa, just getting a lot of farm specifically out of the Ancient Camp. So the only thing I would like to see a little bit more is potentially the Troll Warlord working on the Radiant jungle, and that's just going to be an unstoppable mix. But unfortunately, that would also mean a little bit of disaster with the Terrorblade.
Let's kill these foes before we start in on each other.
TA already picking up an early double damage. Going to be a little nice to see where she's going to rotate to. Oh, no, she's not rotating anywhere. She's going to go right back to the middle lane. Already got a bottle, though, so this is going to be a great set of initiation on top of a Drow who doesn't even have boots yet. Neither one of them have boots, but that's not going to be easy to escape from with all the damage coming on top of the TA. Especially if she gets right here underneath the tower. Or right up on the upper lane. So, looking forward to that. Nonetheless, we have up in the upper lane. I wanted to say tier, excuse me. Oh, do we have... Nope. Not ready to attack just yet. Not even popping DD Rune. So, I do like how we have the Undying pulling the lane back quite a bit. This is definitely going to make the Weaver uncomfortable. And it does appear that he's working on a Wraith, not the Wraith Band. What's this upgrade to? That, Ring of Aquila. So that's going to be a lot of mana coming in very soon for the Weaver. A lot of extra escape capability. But I am wondering exactly when he's going to be able to start working on that.
First blood.
Oh, shoot. I missed it. My apologies. The Terrorblade actually picking up the Razor, and they're going to continue initiating further on the Dragon Knight. And continue pushing back in, but they're not going to want to dive too much further, especially with the Terrorblade only level 4. Interesting, though. I didn't know that the fakes actually would show the old level. Very interesting. Nonetheless, we do have the TA who has popped her DD Rune. Probably took a lot of damage from that Drow Ranger before she decided to go invisible, or perhaps she's just waiting up for the perfect time. Nonetheless, she's going to lose her DD Rune very shortly. And there it goes. So whatever advantage she had is now gone, unfortunately. And she's not even in the best place. So I'm expecting this drought. Nope, she doesn't even have a gust yet. So no silence coming back in for her. We're going to rotate back down to the bottom lane where the Terrorblade has even picked up his power treads now. So I do like how quickly he was able to get that, especially with the first blood that came from the Razor. So well played there. We do have a Weaver. Oh, I thought he was going to initiate on top of him. I'm wondering if the Undying is going to be working on that. Attack. We have a little bit more of a fight. Nope. Actually, the Dragon Knight was baiting out a little bit more of a fight, but didn't appear like anything was going to happen out of it. Medusa still getting her level 3. Not leveling as quickly as one could, but actually taking a lot of damage to these Ancients. If she's not careful, she's going to take a lot of... She's potentially going to die off to that. Weaver actually running a Sakuchi on the top lane. And still just working on creeps. He's up 21, but nonetheless, very strangely, the brew actually has more CS. So maybe the Weaver needs to be working on denying a little bit more. Nonetheless, I am legitimately surprised. Then again, it could have been just because of the Warlock. The Undying Warlock, the Undying pulling back the lane so many times. So nonetheless, both sides absolutely working on whatever they need for their first starting items. Do we have a TA routing to top lane? No, does not appear to be. So just looking for the runes, but she has a nice little trap going on the top rune. So not sure why she chose to back a bit. And we do have a Troll Lord picking off the Razor. I was very close. I almost lost it for you, but it looks like the Terrorblade Terrorblade dying to that tower, unfortunately feeding that Razor a bit more gold. But that's okay, because he's now 1 and 2. Unfortunately, he's given off too many deaths at the beginning of this game. Weaver almost getting out, or almost dying off himself to this Brewmaster already level 6. Not a good run. Get out of there. Brewmaster making a very smart thunderclap on that lane, forcing the Weaver back out of the lane. I almost hesitate to ask when would be a good time for him to get out of that lane and just go back home. We have the Drow Ranger rotating on top of the Undying, and he's going to be dealing a lot of damage. Undying deciding to go right back in on top of the fight. Not entirely sure why. Brewmaster doing whatever he can come back into this fight, but he's going to get picked off first. Brewmaster coming back in, throwing down a Thunderclap, but we even have a rotation coming in from the Templar Assassin, who's going to deal a lot of damage and get the final kill on the Drow Ranger. Well played on the side of the Dire, but getting a carry for the side of for simply a nice little support. But nonetheless, what is really a support in all random, huh? So hopefully the Radiant are going to be able to recover from this. They're up 3-2. Let's take a look at the graphs right now. We're over 1,500 gold on the state of the Radiant, and exactly the same with it when it comes to their experience. Nonetheless, we're only 7.5 minutes in. This is still a very early game. We do have... Nope, I thought Dire was actually going to rotate underneath the tower, so maybe I think I need to work on holding back my words a little bit more until I'm ready to say whether or not I think they're diving or not diving. So I've made that call quite a few times. Nonetheless, we have a nice little DD rune, double damage rune in the top position. So let's see if the Drow Ranger is actually going to pick it up. She does potentially want to steal it away from this Templar Assassin, who is going to see it. So that's going to deny her a little bit extra mana right now, which is very crucial for that Drow Ranger, especially because she has her own Aquila. And we do have a little bit of smack talking coming out from the Troll Warlord right now. Or not. Not entirely sure. We have a rotation coming on top of the Razor, who seems to be trying to back out. And he's going to pick off very shortly this Troll Warlord. Well played on the Razor. He's up 2-2 now. And they're going to continue pursuing on top of the Terrorblade, who's level 6. Be very careful, guys. He's got a full mana pool and an ultimate up, so I wouldn't actually reinitiate on top of this. Especially under tower. That's just going to be... You're attacking yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. And we have the Weaver actually still holding on by the skin of his teeth up here in the top lane. Seems like he bought himself an extra set of tangos, so delaying something right now. I would actually hate to see him have to worry about not getting... What's the ball? I'm having a brain fart right now. I need to work on that. Lincoln Sphere. I would hate to have to see a Lincoln Sphere delayed because of all this. He doesn't have as much CS as I would hope out of this. Especially it looks like the Brew is... No, he's actually pulled ahead ever so slightly. So I guess not with all the time that the Undying was pulling out the lane and then got picked off, that gave the Weaver more than enough chance to pull back and actually get some extra CS out of that. So definitely things starting to rotate back in the way of Radiant's favor, and Weaver even getting a fight. We actually have a big rotation coming on top of the Dire bottom lane, and we have everybody picking off on top of the Dragon Knight. He gets picked off, and he's even going to give the kill right over the Troll Warlord. So everybody doing well on the side of the Radiant right now. Only... support's essentially getting picked off, if I do recall. So on the Radiant side, the Drows dropped, the Terrorblades dropped, the Troll Warlord dropped. So unfortunately, only the Medusa, who I was believing to play the support lane, Brew actually taking out the Weaver in the top lane, finally getting what the Weaver kind of deserved. He's been pushing a little too far this entire time, and unfortunately, yep, it's exactly it. He got caught out, and unfortunately he's just too squishy, but we do have a big fight. No, not a big fight. I thought Carl was going to be pushing on top, but completely missing with the silence on top, and it looks like the TA is going to chase in on top of this. She's even popped her haste rune and taking a lot of damage until she actually drops her refraction orb, so gonna get right back out of that fight. A little too early to actually go in on top of this Drow, but she wants to. She already has the refraction orb. Going to deal a lot of damage, getting pushed right back, but it looks like she's going to get the kill. Well played, TA, diving right on top of that Drow. And all the while in the bottom lane, we have the Razor who took out the Terrorblade. So fights all over the place, but everybody's going to rotate right on top of the Dragon Knight, and he's going to go down as well. And who's the kill going to go to? Straight on top of the Weaver, who did rotate down from essentially that top lane. So nonetheless, the Terrorblade went down. So very interesting setup. We do have essentially a 2-for-2 kill here, and we're all tied up on 6-6, but the graph is pushing over 2,000 on the side of the
Dire's
gold,
bottom tower
and
is
experience
under
has actually dipped back down a little bit, quite a bit toward the Dire. So I am wondering if how quickly the Dire are going to be able to come back from this.
Dire's bottom
The Drow
tower
rotating
has
atop
fallen.
of the Undying. He's going to take a lot of damage. See if the Brew is actually able to help his buddy out, but not soon enough. Drow's going to take a lot of damage, pushing that Brew away, but I think the Brew is going to get the final kill on top of this. All the while, the Weaver actually took out the Razor, and lots of fights going all over the place, guys. So unfortunately, I can't cover everything. The Weaver
Radiant's top tower
Sakuching
is
right
under
out
attack.
of the fight. And we have 4 down on the side of the Radiant, down in the bottom lane, but we have nothing back up here pushing on against this Brewmaster, pushing on the tier 1. If he actually gets some work, just take a tier 1.
Radiant
All the while, we
structures
do
are
have the
fortified.
TA pushing back in the middle
Radiant's
lane.
top tower
So-
is under attack.
Dire absolutely getting the advantage when it comes to these towers right now. We haven't seen any of the lanes really pushed in enough to actually count for the Dire, or count against the Dire. So, very shortly we will potentially see this Brewmaster taking the first tower. Big deal. Not as big of a deal as if it were the bottom lane or the middle lane. I've always counted the bottom and the middle lanes more important, specifically due to the Rosh and the smaller distance between bases. But nonetheless, a tier 1 is a tier 1.
Radiant's middle tower
We
is
have
under
a Drow.
attack.
The Drow's actually going to rotate in on top of and bait out a little bit. Here comes the Weaver with a lot of health missing. This is don't feed. Come on, buddy. Use your little tango and get some health back in. Nonetheless, the tower is not ready to be denied just yet. And I'm going to take a look over to the stream. Actually, everything's looking rather okay right now. So I'm rather happy. At least I hope everything is looking okay. Things seem to be reasonably looking good, except for the occasional pause. I don't know if that's actually me or not. Hopefully that's not me. Alright, we do have the Drow who has continued to work back up on the lane. The Weaver has chosen not to use the Tango. Come on, buddy. There's no reason not to be as close to full health
Radiant's
as you possibly
bottom
can right
tower
now.
is under attack.
We do have Dire actually pushing on top of the bottom tier 1. We have the Razor and the Dragon Knight who are pushing in, and there's absolutely nothing stopping for this push right now,
Radiant's
but that doesn't mean
middle
they're going to get a
tower is
tower.
under
We even have a
attack.
DK ult popped, just for a little bit of extra range, but we have a Terror Blade and a Troll Warlord rotating in, and they're going to present themselves very shortly and force them to back out.
Dire's
Even the
top
DK
tower
taking
is
quite a
under
bit of
attack.
damage, while we have the Drow and the Weaver pushing in the top tier 1. So actually we might... Oh, here we have a big slam coming in on the side of the Brewmaster. We even have the TA taking out the Medusa. I missed where that happened to go, but it looks like a lot of damage is going to hit, and then we're going to even see the Drow drop down to the Brewmaster. Extra gold going on there, but if they don't be careful... And there goes the Weaver. He's going to drop down as well. Very bad plays. And we're going to rotate back down to the bottom lane where the Troll Warlord's going to take out the DK, get a double kill. But he's going to drop down to the Templar Assassin.
Cannot die.
Sorry, Weaver. It's not the late ult. It's the dives that you should not be doing. You haven't even used your Tango yet. Get your health back up and learn to play with the team. Stop diving. I guarantee you'll be all the better for it. So, nonetheless, we do see a potential... Are we going to get a deny? I'm not entirely sure if we're going to get that deny or not. Hopefully we do.
Radiant's
I would do it
middle
while they're
tower
dead,
is
just to
under
make sure that
attack.
you get it, because we do not want that Weaver rotating in, especially because Tier 1s actually don't have backdoor protection. So, in fact, we do see the Weaver rotating in. Is he going to dive and get this tower? It might look like it. In fact, we even do have a return rotation coming back in on top of the... Oh, it's the Razor. My mistake. So, waiting for this Weaver to make his move. We even have the Razor. He is waiting like a not a scissors or a stapler, a
Dire's
spider
top tower
coming
is
in.
under-
And they just
Dire's
give the
top
kill
tower
of the
has
tower right
fallen.
over the Weaver. That was a misplay. I'm sorry, guys, but you should not have allowed that. We do have a rotation coming on top of the Weaver, but he's just he's going to Sakuchi himself right out of that fight. Not a big deal in the least. We're going to rotate back down to the bottom lane where the middle lane where the
Radiant's
TA
middle tower
actually
is under attack.
dove on top of the Drow and took him out. Well played there. A lot of tower hits coming on the side of the Brewmaster, but if they only came up this hill, they're going to see a level 9 Medusa, and he is vastly underfed right now. We're going to switch back up on the
Radiant's
top lane
middle
where it
tower
looks like
is
the
under attack.
Weaver's about to die. Even though he popped his ult,
collapse.
You're diving way too
Radiant's
far, buddy.
middle tower has
Nonetheless, we
fallen.
do have the mid-tier 1 dropping down too. So, well played on the side of the Dire. Absolutely taking advantage of what they should right now. Radiant not being able to stop the tower push. We do have 2 towers down on the side of the Radiant and on the Dire, but the difference is that the Radiant tier 1 is actually the one that's gone down. We have a Brewmaster actually rotating in on top of this Templar Assassin. She's going to drop down very shortly. Actually, no, she's going to go invisible first and take a lot of AoE damage, but nonetheless, the Brewmaster coming in, potentially going to, is he going to drop his ultimate? He is level 13, about to hit level 14, so hopefully we do see it soon. But nonetheless, the TA is able to escape. Yes, but where did he go?
Dire's bottom tower is
Oh,
under
she blinked
attack.
up on top of the cliff. So, nonetheless, we do say we have more of a rotation coming back on top of this Brewmaster. And it doesn't... Why is he going back in? Is he going to pop his ultimate? This is not a smart move on the side of the Brewmaster. You should... Okay, there we go. We do have an ultimate popped, and he's going to rotate on top of the Drow Ranger. Weaver and the... we have 4 on the Radiant coming back in just for the solo Brewmaster, especially with all the health he has. But come on, guys, you need to get the Brewmaster right back out of this fight. Razor actually rotating in, choosing to do a lot of damage to what looks to be on top of the Drow Ranger first. But no, he's going to drop down first to the Templar Assassin. TA actually going to be dropping down the Terrorblade as well. So we have 2 dropping down on the side of the Radiant, all for the cost of only 1 on the Dire. So Razor actually being the only one that dropping, Brewmaster doing a very sketchy initiation, but ultimately does pay off for them. And we actually have a Weaver rotating on top of the TA, and she's... I actually am surprised. I thought that Sakuchi was actually going to work on invisible units, but I guess not because she has the shield. Nonetheless, he's going to ultimate time-lapse. I wanted to say ult orb. That's not accurate. Time-lapse right back out of the fight, and Sakuchi himself back in. So, not a big deal. Everybody kind of returning to their standard lanes. Everybody resetting. So, not a big deal. I'm going to take a quick second and take a look at my stats. I want to know if it's actually dropping any frames. It says that I'm actually dropping about 1% of my frames, so I hope that's actually not doing too big of a deal when it comes to your stream quality. Once again, if you guys have any pauses, let me know. I'd also like to know if you actually have any quality concerns, if it's not able to show the quality. Dragon Knight actually going to drop down to the Weaver right before he gets taken out by the Templar Assassin, but they're going to... Nope, she's not going to continue pushing. We have 3 here in the Radiant, actually, in the mid-tier 1, all against a solo TA, but she's going to back out now, which is exactly what she should do. If they're not careful, though, they're going to actually... if the Dire actually catch this Drow, they're going to see her completely out of position. So, not entirely sure if the Dire are actually going to be able to go on top, but the Razor's actually going to get picked off, and she's going to take a lot of damage, especially from that Terrorblade from the Replicant, but she is, in fact, going to drop to the Terrorblade himself and give a nice 280 gold. And we even have a further attack coming back from the TA down on the Medusa. So, an extra 2 for 2 on the, 1 for 1, unfortunately. So, let's see who's got the better of that. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, the Radiant actually pushing back over the 2,000 gold, so they are continuing to retake their lead. And we even have what appear to be getting closer to a reset in the experience. The Dire are far in the lead, perhaps due to the Medusa working on the ancient camps. But nonetheless, if I recall, she's actually not all that far ahead right now. Yeah, she's only level 11, where we have... strangely enough, she is ahead of the Terrorblade, who has gotten 2 kills out of that. So she is getting very slowly back to being a support role. But nonetheless, the Dire have seen it coming, and I believe they have picked her out of position a couple times. Medusa even picking up her nice little Lincoln Sphere. On second thought, I am a little curious on whether the Weaver not has his. And no, he does not. He is working on it. He's got his Perseverance, so it's going to be about another 2,000 gold, if I recall. 2,113, so about 3,500 gold away from that. Actually, they have a big rotation coming on top of the Medusa, and like I said, they keep catching her out of position, not because of wards, but because it's predictable. They saw it coming, and now they know how to keep looking for it. So, time to change up the plans a little bit. I would go actually farming here in the standard jungle. Can I draw? I can. That makes me happy. I wasn't sure if I could do that as a spectator. So, not a whole lot else going on. The rest of the Dire actually backing out. And very interesting. I'm not exactly sure if the TA is going for a pick on the courier or not. And they're going to walk. She's going to walk right through them. They're not going to see anything coming, by the way, or for obvious reasons. But
Dire's structures are fortified.
Dire's tier 2 bot actually getting worked on a little bit. This is not a tower they want to
Dire's
lose.
bottom
Absolutely
tower
not,
is
especially
under
if they
attack.
lose their tier 1 mid. And the TI actually rotating on top of the Drow. She was looking for that easy pick. She's going to take a lot of damage, but I think she's not going to be able to go invisible anytime. Actually, I
Dire's
take that
bottom
back.
tower is under
That's
attack.
exactly what she did.
Radiant's
So
top
nonetheless,
tower
she's
is
waiting
under
for that
it.
perfect
Radiant's
moment
top
to
tower has
blink
fallen.
on top of the tower. And she gets it. I did not know she didn't have to go invisible, or didn't have to bring invisibility for that. So, nice little trick there. I kind of like that a lot, especially because she's been smart enough to actually push right into the position where she can jump straight to it. So, we do have a bit of a push. We have 4 on the Radiant, 4 or 3 from the Radiant actually pushing in against potentially all 5 on the side of the Dire. If they can plan this perfectly, and it doesn't appear like they are, the TA getting spotted out by the Weaver. So while we do that, I'm going to actually take a look at everybody's items real quick. We actually don't have a very quick Sanjin Yasha coming in on the side of the Dire Blade. We have a nice little Mom coming back in on the Drow Ranger Mask of Madness. Do we have an incoming fight? It potentially looks like it. No, the DK is nowhere nearby. Actually, they found the Weaver, but they're not going to be able to do anything with that nice little Sakuchi return. Let's take a look at where the... Oh, we have a lot of damage coming in on the side of the Medusa. She's going to melt. Unfortunately, the ultimate actually getting both of them, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. And the TA finally does get her picked off, but unfortunately she's still in a tower, going to take a ton of damage. Fortunately, the refraction orb stopping it, but the Drow actually doing tons of damage to the TA and going to drop her.
Never know.
And everybody goes 1 down on each side. So very interesting push. Actually, we have everybody rotating on top of the Drow Ranger. Nobody on the Radiant actually coming in to help him out. Everybody thought the fight was over, but no. The Brewmaster needs to drop its ultimate and get in this fight. They're going to start picking on top of the Terror Blade very shortly. And actually, it looks like the Drow's going to drop as well. So 3 down on the Radiant, and they're going to keep pushing on top. The Troll Lord taking a lot of stun, and he's going to drop. But unfortunately, a ton dropping down on the ton of damage being taken on the Dire until the
Radiant's
Brewmaster
middle
actually
tower
decides
is
to do
under
his
attack.
primal split. And everybody choosing to back out for now, and they're just going to work on the tier 2. Well played on the side of the Dire, a little sloppy, but you did get the most of the kills out of this. And if that Medusa is not careful, I mean, I'm not sure why you're picking on that
Radiant's
on the
middle
Brewmaster.
tower is under attack.
You're only helping him out, actually, because that's going to make him respawn in the Brewmaster that's further away. The Undying taking a lot of damage, and unfortunately it looks like they are going to potentially drop to this Weaver. All he has to do is get a couple of kills. Wow, double kill just by a Sakuchi right in the middle of him. Don't blame him. Very smart play. Medusa? I don't know what to call that pro play right there, but you ulted absolutely nothing. So, once again, we're going to go back and take a look at everybody's stats. We got Undying. He's finished up his Arcane Boots. Not exactly sure when he picked it up, but not sure what he's working on. Is that going to be a pipe? I believe he's working on a pipe, but he's got a lot of gold for it. We do have the Medusa who has finished. She had her Lincoln Sphere a little while ago. Did she pick up a Quelling Blade? I believe she did. We do have the Razor actually rotating on top of the Medusa, as well as the TA who's going to jump right on top of her. But no attacks just yet on top of her, especially with the Drow helping her back out. So the Dire need to back out, and they're going to do so. Not a lot else going on right now. We actually have the Radiant actually pushing in the lanes on the top. But that's not going to last too much, the Radiant lane being pushed in. TA picking up, bottling a nice little DD rune. Ooh, if I back out far enough, it actually has to reset the visuals. Very interesting setup. How many blinks do we have on the Dire? We got 1 on the TA. We have 1 on the Brewmaster. And that's it. But we do have the DK working on what appear to be a Vladimir's, or at least a very casual Morbid Mask. But I would think it would rotate into a Vladimir's just for the team aura. Not sure on the Blink Daggers on the Radiant side. We have none. Nonetheless, the Weaver actually working on his own Desolator, so a lot of late game damage coming in very soon, though. Actually, I shouldn't say soon. He does have a whole second Mithril Hammer to work on, so it's not going to be anytime soon. I'm saying by the 40-minute mark, he'll have it finished, absolutely. Excuse me. But we do have 3, or is it maybe 4 on the side of the Dire? No, we have 5 on the Radiant that gets 3 on the Dire. I would back out of this, especially with the DK and the Undying and the alternate lanes pushing the lanes back out. this is not something you want to fight. They're pushing in the lanes, but if they're not careful, this is going to be a very easy set of picks for the Radiant and get them right back in this fight. Just take a look right down. Actually, we do have the Troll Warlord picking out 3 of them, but they should have seen that if the other 2 were in opposite lanes, that, yeah, no kidding, 5-man jungle law, right? That, I feel, was potentially a missed opportunity. We don't even have any wards on the map right now. The only vision we've got are actually the TA traps. So, unfortunately, I guess that's the problem with all random, is we just don't have dedicated supports. I was really hoping that the Undying and the Medusa were going to do a better job with that, but it doesn't appear to be. So, everybody's going 5v5 late game carries for the win right now. YOLO mode, Chinese Dota activated. So, not a whole lot else going on, unfortunately. We have no wards, therefore we have no vision, we have no smoke, we have no ganks. We have a lot of Blink Daggers on the Dire, but that's only for strong initiation. But until they actually get it together, I don't know what else is going to happen. Actually, they potentially picked up that the Roshan is being attacked, but it's going to be too late. DK using his armlet toggles to keep himself alive. But nonetheless, sorry, Radiant. Maybe this will cheat you to get some wards on the field, hopefully. So, Weaver actually finally, he actually did finish his Linkosphere quite a while, because he's got his Mithril and potentially a second one very soon. I did miss who pick up the Aegis. Templar Assassin picking it up. Interesting pick. I guess that would probably be more accurate, especially because we haven't seen Brew in a lot of the fights. We have seen him in a few of them. He's had some very strange initiation, which is the only reason why I remember him actually going on it. Hopefully that comes into. We do have a Medusa all popping on nothing, unfortunately. It was on a TA, but it wasn't really going to do much but stun her, slow her down and the Brewmaster. Nonetheless, he's going to do a primal split and work on that on the Terrorblade, who's going to get picked off. Come on, Terrorblade, you know how to use your ultimate.
I'm here.
And we are going to see a tier 2 mid dropping down.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Very interesting glyph pop. Usually you only want to pop it that low if you want to actually
Radiant's
potentially
middle
stop
tower has
if you want to
Radiant's top tower
deny
is
the
under
tower,
attack.
but they all backed off a little too early, so not sure what to tell you on that one, unfortunately. But we do have the Dire, who have greatened their first tier 2. And that's a great play by them. That's fortunately going to mean a much stronger play on their side, especially with the TA who's going against the Weaver, but she does have a you're under tower, buddy, and you're going to get seed. You may have an Aegis, but that doesn't mean you can play stupid. Actually, we have a big fight going on top of the middle lane. No, everybody's ready to back out. Actually, no, Radiant's not ready to. They want to go on top of the Razor, and they're going to pick him off very quickly. Not going to do any good, but we do have the TA rotating a little too late. So Radiant getting a nice little free kill out of that. And nothing else. We have the other 4 in the Dire actually pushing back into the middle lane. And the only other pushing return in the middle lane we have, or excuse me, the only one we don't have doing that is the Weaver, pushing back on this top lane. But we do have the DK. I'm not sure what you're going to do against them, the Weaver that push it back. We actually have the TA picking off the Terrorblade. Terrorblade just not knowing how to pop his ultimate. I'm sorry, but
Dire's
come on, buddy.
has been killed.
You're losing the whole point of your existence. We do have the TA actually having the Aegis popped, and she's going to come right back in. Undying actually dropping as well. That's not a Warlord. TA taking a bunch of damage, being slowed down. Finally, we have the Brewmaster split coming in, but the TA is going to take a lot of damage and drop. Nonetheless, the Brewmaster is going to get the Troll Warlord and continue picking on this Weaver. And it doesn't look like he's going to get it. He's going to drop very soon as well. And the Brewmaster goes down as well. So 3 dropping down on the side of the Dire, all for the cost of 1, 2 on the side of the Radiant. DK actually getting a lot of damage done to the Weaver, but he's just going to do his time lapse right back. Nonetheless, here, and oh boy, he had already used his time lapse, so there's not a lot he's going to be able to get back out of that. Dire pushing a little too hard, actually choosing to go on top of the Terrorblade, who doesn't know how to pop his ultimate, guys. Has not used that ultimate 1 time. Come on, buddy. Yeesh. Whatever, guy. Hopefully you learn how to figure this out very soon. But I don't see that happening. Nonetheless, we do have more creeps pushing back on top of this tower. More CS lost for the Radiant. All in all, I actually think that the Radiant came out... If it wasn't for the sloppy Dire play, Radiant would have been much worse off right now. I think that they
Dire's
potentially
bottom
could have
tower
lost a
is
tier
under
3
attack.
mid. So, fortunately, the Radiant were able to capitalize on the Dire's mistakes in such a manner that they were able to get a 3 for 3.
Dire's bottom tower
If
is
both
under
teams had
attack.
played with a little bit better communication, a little bit more teamwork, potentially could have seen a team wipe on both sides. But once again, pub games and an all random. So on top of that.
How many times are you gonna miss?
So, Brewmaster picking on the Weaver a little bit before he's forced to time-lapse, did he? No, he didn't even time-lapse, just a nice little Sakuji. Nonetheless, we do have all 5 on the Radiant pushing back in, and even all 5 on the Dire coming back in on top of this. So, are we going to see a little bit of a West Side Story duel coming here in the mid lane? No, we don't. In fact, all the Dire backed up too early, and we do have a 5 rotation on the side of the Radiant. We have a tactical pause on the Medusa, laughing it off. Too bad, so sad. And Medusa unpausing the game, and the Razor say, no, obviously you still need a little bit of a pause. Drow unpausing the game. We've got where everybody's rotating on top of the Drow Ranger's taking a ton of damage. The Medusa actually getting his buddy out because he was able to stop him from reinitiating. The Terrorblade not knowing how to use the ultimate still. And Terrorblade still... Oh, wait, did the Terrorblade actually use the ultimate? No, he didn't. He just got lucky and got that kill. 2 down on the side of the Radiant, dropping down to all for the cost of a single DK dropping. And we have 4... No, we had a time-lapse. Time-lapse on the Weaver, getting him back out of that fight. So 3 for 1. And we have a strong push coming in on the Dire. Are they going to go? Nope, they're actually going to choose to fight this Troll Warlord and get the kill. Get your tier 3, guys. Take what you've earned.
Radiant's middle tower
And Weaver's
is
not
under
going to be
attack.
able to do squat, even if he has a time-lapse. But
Dire's bottom
you're not going to
tower
be.
is
He's not
under
going to be able to
attack.
do anything but potentially just harass him, which is
Radiant's
all he
middle
can
tower
do.
has fallen.
Actually, he's going to potentially take out that Brute. Nope, he's not. The Brewmaster finally getting his primal split. And the Weaver saying, that's all I can do is force an ultimate pop right now. Actually, they're going to rotate on top of the Weaver, and he's going to get pushed back into the air, but he's going to run right back out. A Rax going down on the side of the Dire, so well played there. And the Brewmaster coming back right exactly
Radiant's
where he was
middle
with the health and
has fallen.
mana from before. So nonetheless, nobody dropping on the side of the Dire except for this Undying, who's going to take a lot of damage, except for the
Dire's
interesting
top tower
Weaver actually
is under
finishing off the
attack.
Undying, but not for the cost of a Drow Ranger. Sorry, buddy, not. You say worth, but we all know that's just a joke. The worst of the 3 barracks actually dropping on the side of the Radiant. This is going to make things either a lot more difficult or a lot easier on the side of the Radiant, because this does mean that a lot more creeps are going to walk right into their base. So if they can actually take advantage of the extra farm, I say this is potentially good. That being said, the Roshan is not up for another 2 minutes. I was going to say, if they can get that Roshan, now's the time to back out, take the Roshan, and push right back into that lane. Unfortunately, none of the other tier 2s on the side of the Radiant are dropped yet, so they're not going to be able to rotate on top of another lane just yet. I do see them easily picking off this top tier 2. That will go down very soon, I hope. At least if the Dire are able to work together. More ancient farming on the side of the Medusa, who was able to recover from her little bit of a difficult stop earlier, her early jungling. We do have a fight coming on top of this Troll Warlord, the Brewmaster forcing a fight. But nonetheless, the Troll Warlord having to use his BKB charge for that. Now he's used 2 by now. We have... Is everybody able to get out? No, the TA is taking a lot of damage, and there she drops first. The first dropping in this fight down on the side of the Dire. The Dragon Knight absolutely going balls in, and he's going to drop down. Nonetheless, 2 dropping down on the side of the Dire. Terrorblade finally getting a kill, but not using his ultimate. Come on, buddy. Nonetheless, the Medusa is about to drop as well, so 3 on the side of the Radiant, and if they can push on top of this... not yet. Close but no cigar. Brew, what are you doing?
Dire's top tower
Not
is under
smart
attack.
play. Not a smart play. Nonetheless,
Dire's top tower has fallen.
the Weaver actually doing strong split pushing, exactly what he needs to be doing in this scenario. Punish the Dire for their sloppy play. Just because they have a set of racks down. I mean, come on, the Brew is absolutely able to take out all three of these if he can. Depends if he gets the damage. No, the Brewmaster actually getting the primal split, and that's going to keep him alive for a little bit longer. And there goes the Drow. Sorry, I actually underestimated that Drow, or overestimated. I totally thought the Drow was going to get it.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Terrorblade.
Radiant's middle tower is
Let's
under
see if
attack.
Terrorblade actually learned how to use his ultimate. It does not
Dire's
appear to
top
be.
tower is under attack.
We have a tier 4 actually being almost picked out on the side of the Radiant. We do have the Weaver actually. He does get the tier 3 on the
Dire's
top lane.
top tower
It's
has
going to force the
fallen.
DK to come and rotate on top of him, but unfortunately nothing past that. We do
Radiant's
have the
middle
first
tower
tier
has
4 on
fallen.
the side of the Radiant dropping. This is not good, Radiant. Unfortunately, you're quite far behind at this point. We're near 4,000 gold, which actually is not that big of a deal on the gold, but we do have over 12,000 experience. Oh, where did we lose? The Weaver actually picking off the Dragon Knight, so unfortunately, sorry, Dire, that was not a good trade, unfortunately, especially because the Weaver is able to pick off your tier 3. So Radiant actually getting something nice out of this. So well played, Radiant. You're showing that you still have some signs of life. Extra little bit of gold coming back in your way, but unfortunately you still have a lot coming. Oh, excuse me. No, yeah, I'm thinking right. Radiant have a lot of ground to catch up, but they were at the 12,000 mark. Now they're getting very close back to the 10,000 mark with the XP. So once again, they have a long way to go, but oh, a lot of damage coming on top of the Weaver, who was quickly able to Sakuchi back out of the TA's trap. She's not actually placing too many traps that she can actually initiate on top of. So nonetheless, it wouldn't have been a big deal, especially with the Weaver, who's going very deep on the
Dire's
side of
top
the...
barracks are under attack.
Sorry, buddy, but there is backdoor protection. You're going to have to do a lot more damage to that racks for that, and especially with the Dire actually coming back to rotate on top of you. Right now, I would say this is your target. Take out the tier 1. It doesn't have backdoor protection. You're going to relieve some... of the pressure coming in. Actually, they're going to rotate on top of this Brewmaster. He's going to be taking a lot of damage. Running a primal split, but he's going to get out. Everybody's running. Actually, the Drow is going to drop down to the Razor. And everybody's going to take this as a sign to initiate on top of the tier 3, or right on top of the tier 4 in the mid. We have everybody pushing the Razor, scaring everybody back, making some space. And the only thing I can actually recommend is for the Weaver to actually push back in that top lane. Until you get a set of racks, it's not going to do any good. The Weaver actually taking a ton of damage. If he's not careful, he's going to drop down, especially because that Medusa is going to be stopping everybody. There goes the Razor dropping first over this fight. Troll Warlord getting a lot of health, or gold out of that. Still, 2 down on the side of the Radiant. And we do have 3 dropping down, and nonetheless, the DK actually looks like he's going to be dropping very soon. The Weaver wants him. One single right click, and he's going to get him. And unfortunately, not worth. Unfortunately, we have a buyback coming on the Weaver. He's going to try and stop everybody as best as he can. The Medusa dropping. This is going to be a GG. Sorry to say. I hate to say it. There's not a whole lot else that the Radiant can do, especially with all the damage coming in on the Radiant. TA making very questionable plays. We have a lot of damage on the throne for the Radiant,
Radiant's Ancient is under attack.
Brew actually gonna TP right out of the fight. Drow actually getting the Undying kill first, so they're able to slow down this kill on top of their Ancient, but for how much longer? It's down to a quarter of its health, so less than that even. We have a very uphill battle ahead of us, especially with the Terrorblade not understanding what an ultimate is. I dare him.
Radiant's
Press
top
R.
tower is
Just
under attack.
one time. Try something. Hell, you might even be surprised. So he's going to push back against this middle lane, but unfortunately he just doesn't have the burst to deal with a ton of creeps all at once. He's going to have to rely on his own measly creeps. We do have the Roshan, who's been up for a little while. I'm going to say maybe 3 or 4 minutes. This is where Dire absolutely have to push back in. If they want to take that Roshan, or heck, maybe even the Radiant. I wanted to say the Roshan's team. Little tongue twisters here. If they can sneak it, it would take a lot, but they could potentially do it. I wouldn't risk it, especially with their Ancient down to a quarter of health. Actually, they want to potentially rotate on top of this Brewmaster, who's not taking a lick of damage, fortunately, to that AC.
Radiant's Ancient
Razor
is under
picking at that Ancient, but he's not going to get anything done. 3 on the side of the Ancient actually pushing on top of this Brewmaster. They're desperately trying to pick it off as quickly as they can, but they're gonna get a Brewmaster kill out of this
bottom
without a
tower is
problem.
under
As a
attack.
matter of fact, the Radiant is actually going to keep pushing on this DK, but the Drow's going to drop very soon. DK getting the Drow Ranger off. It was a 1-for-1 trade directly, actually. 2 down on the Radiant for 3 on the Dire. So, questionable plays. I think they got a
Dire's
little
bottom
too
tower
focused
is
on
under
the
attack.
Ancient, and it
Radiant's
did cost them.
Ancient is under
Not to say I
attack.
wouldn't have done the same thing. This is exactly what you want to do. Just keep right-clicking that Ancient, desperately trying to do whatever they can,
Dire's
but at the
bottom
same
tower
time,
has fallen.
4 down on the side of the Dire. Questionable plays were made. The TA, I am afraid she's going to make that same mistake. She looked like she was potentially going to blink on top of that Ancient and pick at it a little bit, but the backdoor protection has kicked in, and that's going to make things quite a little bit more difficult. Just push back the lane, guys. You've got a little bit of time, and even now, it's 3-on-2 Radiant, so Weaver's going to, Medusa's going to be coming back in soon. Drow's going to be coming back in soon, only at the same time for a Dragon Knight to be rotating back in. Very interesting little trap going on right now, but all the while, we do have the Radiant making some very smart plays, choosing to step back and guard their Ancient. So just in case that we do have that TA who does decide to push in that lane or jump over the trend, push against that Ancient. We do have the Weaver, he doesn't have any sight on the TA, who's going to see him. He's going to take a lot of damage. Where is he going? Not the right way. Fortunately, that tower was down, so he wasn't going to see anything. Continuing to Sakuchi out, but is he going to get out? He's going to get spotted. The TA actually jumping right in front of him like I was expecting. Not actually doing any riot clicks against him, though. He's going to continue backing. Fortunately, he's causing a lot of commotion and just getting the Dire's attention, which is more or less just going to give Radiant more of a chance to push against the lanes.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Nonetheless, Radiant, I know the Weaver wants that Rax down. I understand that mentality, but you're not getting any gold right now. You have 3 of the Radiant who are just sitting back in the base doing absolutely nothing, if not all 5 of them. We do have the 5 on the Dire. We do have the Brewmaster who's going to potentially run his Primal Split very soon to start an initiation. And not quite yet. Nonetheless, all of the Dire taking a massive amount of damage. They're actually about to drop. The Dragon Knight dropping down first, as well as, wow, 3 on the Dire dropping down.
Radiant's Ancient is under attack.
And the Brewmaster doing everything he can to finish off this Ancient. It's not going to do any good. It even forced the TA dropping, all 5 on the side of the Dire dropping, but the TA actually choosing to buy back. Troll Warlord not very happy about this, as they were able to easily team wipe absolutely everybody. Weaver even picking up his Monkey King bar. So, if it wasn't for this, I would say this is potentially a comeback on the side of the Radiant, but I am not going to call that out. It is way too early to say that. We are at 45 minutes
Dire's
in.
middle tower is under
Finally,
attack.
thank you very, very
Dire's
much for actually
structures
pushing
are
in this middle
fortified.
tier 1. They do have
Dire's middle
more than
tower
enough time
has
to push back
fallen.
in this tier 2. Hopefully they choose to do that, but it actually looks like instead they have a Roshan attempt coming in very soon. Take out your tier 2, back like we all know you should. TA
Dire's
giving a little
middle
harassment.
tower has fallen.
Don't fall for the bait. Take what you've earned. You've received 2 towers out of this, all tier 2s down on the side of the Dire. Back out, take your Roshan, and if this
Radiant's bottom
Terrorblade,
tower is under
unfortunately, it does look like they're, no, I'm not going to say they're going to lose the
attack.
tier
Roshan
2.
has fallen to
Weaver
the
picking up the Aegis, very smart pickup. I do like that play. Why? Maybe he's just doing that for fun. Not a smart idea. Actually, we have the rotation on top of the... Yeah, it was the Weaver who picked it up. I guess I was just following the wrong side for a minute there. We do have 3 on top of this,
Radiant's
4 on
bottom
top of
tower
this.
is under
Razor
attack.
absolutely getting picked off, way out of position. I was a little confused there for a minute. I was like, obviously his team has got to be nearby him because there's no way he'd be diving so far in. But No, I was giving him way too much credit. I don't understand that in the least. Nonetheless, this has given the Radiant a massive chance to actually continue to push in, especially with the massive team wipe they had earlier against the side of the Dire. So this is Radiant's chance. If they can set up a great little trap right now, they can absolutely take him and potentially even get a tier 3 mid for this. Are we going to see it? Do we even have buybacks up yet? We only have a couple, and they're only on the side of the Radiant. So this is not good for the Dire. They definitely want to make another attempt to push on the top of this tower. We have the Dire, and they're actually going to look to fight this time. Nonetheless, the DK is going to drop down as well. We have 3 down on the side of the Dire, and we have the Brewmaster choosing to... He's going to pat the back of that Ancient a little bit more. He's just going to melt. Not smart plays. The Undying dropping his ultimate before he does so, but it's not going to do any good. And the Radiant are able to just show off once again how well they were able to push against them and just go do complete team wipes. They have no idea where the TA is, which is the only reason that we still have 3 of them sticking back right now. But this is Radiant's chance. Brewmaster ready to throw in the towel, but I'm not ready to say they're out of it just yet. But it is very apparent that the Radiant have so much more damage. Their late game potential absolutely has kicked in. Dire not able to... They were so close. It still is very close, but ultimately they're going to have some very sneaky plays or some very interesting rat Dota if they actually want to take this. I would say their best bet right now, I would love to see the Brewmaster... Razor dropping down to the Troll Warlord. Nice little easy kill. Actually, we have big kills. Weaver doing tons of damage here in the top lane. He's dropping down as well. We even have the Troll Warlord who just ran his BOTs in. Weaver's just getting popped. Finally, it had to have been quite a little bit of time for that to be so good. Finally, good for them to use it. And the DK is about to drop, especially with the Sukuchi on top of him. And there he drops. We even have a tier 3, the tier 3 dropping. And the melee barracks being picked off a little bit, but there we go. It's the Weaver doing tons of damage, especially with the Desolator and the Monkey King bar.
Dire's top barracks has fallen.
Dire ready to throw in the tower.
Dire's middle barracks
I can't say I blame them.
Dire's middle barracks has fallen.
So, mistakes were made. They weren't able to. They were too little, too late. Sorry,
Dire's
guys.
middle barracks has fallen.
Yeah, the Brew is mad. I can't say I blame him, especially because they're about to get mega creeps.
Dire's bottom
Radiant
tower
taking the
has
advantage they
fallen.
had. They did
Dire's bottom
2, maybe
barracks
3
has
full team
fallen.
wipes, and they were able to get some confidence back. Terribly, not even needing to be part of the fight, just in case.
Dire's
We have
middle
4 on the
tower
Radiant
has
able to
fallen.
completely team wipe an entire side on the Dire.
Radiant
And
victory.
there's the game. Well played on the side of the Radiant. They were able to make the amazing little comeback. Great plays, and Radiant victory. I can't say this was an amazing game. I was glad to be able to cast this one. A lot of fun. Well played, Radiant. Able to hold on to a thread. Dire desperately trying twice there to just finish off the Ancient. They just a couple of right clicks needed, and unfortunately they were not able to get them. And the Radiant able to hold on, and they took a win. Great job. Well played, Radiant. Sorry, Dire, not your day. That's what happens when you get an all pick. You're just not able to, or the all random, excuse me, you're not able to get exactly what you need out of the fight. And, yep. So, once again, 49-minute game. Radiant take it. Thank you once again from the Dota 2 casted area. My name is Ninja Chris. This has been a Ninja Chris Casts. And I hope to see you guys again soon. Thank you very much, and you all have a wonderful day. I did forget to say, I do hope you're able to, that you want to subscribe to my channel. I hope you're having a lot of fun checking me out. I ended this as if it were a standard YouTube video, but I would love it if anybody chose to subscribe. So if you want to subscribe, if you want to check me out, if you want to follow me, I would love that. If you want to follow me on YouTube, I am Ninja Chris Casts over on YouTube, and here on Twitch, I am Ninja Chris 098. I would love any feedback you have for me. Please message it to me. Otherwise, once again, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.